Now what we have here, this is the bottom part of a room divider that we're going to put up in this room right here. Now, you notice it's 4 feet this way. See, comes out from the wall 4 feet. It's 3 feet high. That means that what goes on top of it, the average room is about 8 feet, a little less than that. What goes on top is 5 feet, and that attaches to the ceiling. But the reason I made it in the dimension I did is because so much material that you buy at lumber yards now comes in sort of 4-foot dimensions. Drywall is 4 by 8, plywood is 4 by 8, paneling is 4 by 8, sheetrock is 4 by 8, the plexiglass stuff is usually 4 by 8 or 2 by 8, but they come in multiples of 4. So if you build it like this, and you can go down and look what you can do. Now because we had paneling back there, I took this thing and put paneling on that side of it. See? Then it goes up against a wall here. Put a couple nails down into the floor to hold it. Put a nail over here, drive it into the wall. And this is a base of a room divider. Now when you use something like this, then it gives you a little alcove back here. You can put a sewing machine back in here.
I thought this was going to be your little desk area where you can make a mess.
Well, you can make a mess, but a woman could also use this and put a sewing machine back in here, and it's hidden from that part of the room, and nobody's going to see it. It gives you another corner in the room. You can put a chair there. It does. Many apartments, and particularly for people who live in apartments, do not have enough corners in their room to put tables up and against the wall or to put a chair in place. So this is where you start. Make a simple box, 3 feet by 4 feet, comes out 4 feet, 3 feet high, and then it gets interesting, right?
That's right.
Let's show them.
Okay.
Now I went out to a lumber yard and started looking around for things to make a room divider out of. And I came across some great turnings. Now these are solid pieces of wood. These are wood turnings.
They look like banisters to me.
Well, have you ever seen a banister that size?
No.
You know, these are called banisters. We have a tendency to when we see a stairway, to call something a banister, and we think of it as the railing, but the banisters are really the upright wood turnings. But I started looking around, and I even found some stuff. Now, you buy a board like this.
It's already made?
Yeah, it already has the holes drilled in it, and it's molded on the sides. And they sell smaller turnings. And they make these in all different styles. They make them in modern style, in early American style, in French Provençal, in Mediterranean, and they already have a thing on the end. Whoop! A dowel-like thing right here on the end, which of course fits right into the hole. Now you can make your own little trim railings around something, around the top of a table, around a workbench, and they come in, as I said, many different styles. So you pick the style you want. They come also in 6 inches, 8 inches, 10 inches, 12 inches, and if you don't like that, you can even take some things like this. And this would make a lovely crown molding or like
a header for over a door.
Yeah, a door header. You put a whole bunch of these together, and it ends up looking pretty nice. Each board is going to be 8 inches wide this way and 4 feet long, and you put the turnings up against this board and drive a nail in the back side on this end. Now this is going to be the part that fits right there. Now you also want to go up and put a board at the other end, so let's do that, Natalie.
Okay.
And about all you need a little glue. And before I start on this, I just squeeze out a little glue here on the end of the turnings. And, honey, not yet.
Okay. No, I was pulling it away so it
Natalie
wouldn't
is
stick.
great, but boy.
Oh, I'm not going to help you anymore.
Don't help too much. Okay. But put some glue on the bottom. You want to do those two?
No.
I want to see you. I bet you can't even do it.
Oh, I can too.
All right, now bring the board that's going to be the top part and come back down to this end.
Wait, I'm still gluing.
That's all right. Align this board perfectly down at this end so you line this board with the other one. That means now, if you mark this board where your posts are, like this, then you know your posts are going to be completely vertical because you're putting the posts on the same place on the board on top that you have on the board on the bottom. Saves you a measuring job. So line them up first on the base where you want them, space them out about right, and then come down and mark the top board. Now that you've done that, another thing that I would suggest doing. It's a very simple process to put just a little bit of an edge on a board. Now this is a sharp edge and it really looks like it just came from a lumber yard. The ideal thing to do to this edge is to just knock it off enough so that you have a little bit of a curve. Then you can take sandpaper and go over it. Now, a very easy way to knock off that edge is with a simple block plane, which is only a couple of dollars, and maybe you should have one around the apartment anyway. So let me show you how to do that. Take your block plane, put your board down, and just begin and go right along the edge. It's slow at first because you're just taking off a little bit. Then pretty soon, you're starting to bevel the edge. Don't set the blade in your plane too deep. You want to just take off a thin shaving at a time. Now, after you have so much of it down, and before you ever put it together, take a piece of sandpaper, and this is a fairly fine grade, and go right over the area that you've just planed. Now, I've used pine boards for this. One reason, the turnings are pine. If you use a pine board for both the top and the bottom, then you can stain everything and it will come out looking alike. If you use a hardwood board for the base and a hardwood board for the top, you're not going to get a very desirable result when you try to stain everything with the same wood. But I sand this just enough to get the rest of the sharp edge off. You can make this lip perfectly round if you so desire.
Just by using this little thing?
Yeah, and then by sanding it down, because pine, you know, is really very soft. Now also, if you want to put just another little touch to it, you can also use your block plane on your edge. Be careful when you get to the end like that, or you'll splinter it like I just did. But now sand it again. And it comes out looking very nice. We've beveled down the edge of the board, sanded it down just a bit. Now we're ready to attach it to the wood turnings or the spindles. Now let's just take the board and turn it up. Now, as you recall, I already marked the other end. And I've already put glue on the bottom of them. Don't help too much. I've already put glue on the bottom of them. And now I'm ready to nail them onto the board. Now, of course, about all you need in something like this. It isn't going to be to have that much weight against it. You just need something to hold the turning until the glue sets. Now, make sure you have it aligned properly. Drive your nail right in. Come right on down, and you can check your markings on the inside. Again, line it up. And it doesn't matter if you make hickeys and miss the nail with the hammer, because nobody's going to see the side anyway.
That's right, just watch your fingers.
I'm a great hickey maker.
What you call a hickey?
What do I call a hickey? Who has a tight shot? Watch, I want to make a hickey. That's a hickey. See that thing right there? That's what happens when you miss the nail and hit the wood.
Like a dent.
Yeah, the only way you can get that out is with steam. If you want to get out a dent like that out of wood, take a rag, soak it in water, put the wet rag over the hickey, take an iron, put it on top of it, and when the steam hits the wood, the thing will come right out.
Where do you get all this information, Wally?
Well, I'm full of it.
That and other very important information he has.
All right. Well, you have to make mistakes to learn what to do about them, and believe you me, I've made my share of mistakes, Natalie.
Don't look at me when you say that. I can walk out, you know.
Now, we have to put up two more.
Two more what?
Because of my design.
Oh, that's
I
right.
am a designer, you know, as well as a carpenter. Would you come down and hold the other end of this board?
All right. I'm getting caught over here.
Now, I'll have to show you why I'm doing this rather than tell you. And the mouth is a good place to carry nails. Hold it up,
Swallow them.
please.
All right.
First, you want to set another nail right here. Then put up your other post. Now that's not going to last forever because I didn't put glue on it, but don't you forget. Glue goes on both ends. Hold it nice, dear.
a noisy show, isn't
Okay,
it?
now we do the same thing at the other
All
end.
right. Some of these are wrapped. Do they all come wrapped in cellophane?
Yes, and I'm going to explain that in just a moment.
All right.
Okay, you got it? I'm going to have to come all the way over.
Okay.
And if I come all the way over right now, I'm going to block a camera shot, so I won't. And now one more in the other end.
Here, I've got
And
it right
we're assembled.
here for you.
Thank you.
Have you ever hit your thumb and slipped the nail?
Quite a few times. You know what hurts, Natalie?
No.
When you drop a hammer on your toe. That's what really hurts.
You missed.
Now, we want to pick the whole thing up and start to assemble it. So,
All right.
would you grab it like I'm grabbing it? Mm-hmm. Not the plywood,
That's
dear.
right, that's
There we go. Now, just come right on around.
Okay.
Right on around.
Oh, this is sort of heavy.
Come on.
Okay, okay.
Right on around. Slide it, not all the way up against, but just about
There we go.
like that. Now, how about that? Isn't that
like I'm in
but no,
jail.
you know, you can stain this. It'll match the paneling or match the paint of your room. You can paint something like this, and you have a great room divider. Now, the reason I built this like this, notice that you still have a shelf here.
Yes.
And this is a great place for your wife to keep plants. And she can put potted plants in here. You can put knickknacks here.
Books, you could put anything.
You could put books and you could put most anything. Now, when you buy the wood turnings, do you feel at home back here behind the bars?
Yes.
No, but when you buy the wood
Bird in a gilded
turnings,
cage.
you'll find they all come wrapped in a very thin plastic. It's probably, some of these maybe look shinier than others. And I can't pull
I
it
don't know,
off.
can you
Here,
tell?
here it is. See this stuff? They're wrapped in a plastic. I would suggest leaving the plastic on, except where you're going to glue it to the wood, like at the top and at the exact bottom. Because if you leave the plastic on and you're working with this and you're handling it and you're picking it up,
You get it dirty.
well, you get it dirty and you leave fingerprints and your hands get a little dirty and you get skin oil into the wood. And if you're going to stain it, why, then you might well leave fingerprints all over the wood. So until you have the thing all assembled and up, leave the plastic
You
stuff
can also
on
paint
it.
it too, you haven't mentioned. Or did
Oh
you?
yeah, I said you could paint it.
okay.
You can do all sorts of things with it. And then too, you can use the other small turnings that we were talking to you about, and you can build, you know, right down from here. You don't have to use a flat panel as the front of the base. You could build it in like a banister railing across here using
This would be
the
a great
shorter lengths.
bookcase too, down here.
Well, the ideal thing is to make the bookcase over on this side, is what I had
All right.
planned
Well,
to
I
do.
was thinking of all the way through, you could do that.
Well, yeah, they're all sorts, you know, everybody can have their own idea. Now, this probably isn't going to fit any home in the world. Maybe it isn't your taste, but it's one example of what can be done. What do you think this used to be? And so help me if you say an old bed, I'm going to hit you. Because what you're supposed to do, you're supposed to be able to take something like an old bed, make it into something like this, and you're not supposed to be able to tell that it was an old bed. But I made a bookcase out of this, which I'm kind of proud of. I tell you what happened. We bought an old house, and I was up in the attic rummaging around, and the people left a lot of stuff up there. And among the things they left was
A lot of
this,
throwawables.
yeah, but this old walnut bed. And I had a footboard, which is what the top part was. This part right up here was the footboard of the bed. And I sawed it. Mind you, this part was tilted down like this, and it was all one piece. So I sawed it in half and turned this part up. Now, the things right here, these were the side rails of the bed. And I had all the parts of the bed except the headboard. And I kept thinking, what am I going to do with the footboard and two side rails?
Without a headboard.
And next to Natalie, you know, I love walnut more than anything else. And this is walnut, so I couldn't throw it away, so I had to make something out of it. So I made a bookcase. Now, I found the chestnut boards out in the barn, and I lopped them off,
They got
put
a
it
lot
together.
Of holes in them,
Well, it's
Wally.
wormy chestnut.
Oh. Is that
And-
desirable?
Oh, well, if you like wormy chestnut. So, and I do. Now,
Okay.
notice over here on the end, even to make it look a little older, I pegged the shelves in instead of using nails. And this is pieces of 3/8-inch wooden doweling, which you buy at a lumber yard. You drill a hole with an electric drill, just take the wooden peg, put a little glue on it, drive it in, and I kind of like the effect. And, of course,
Shouldn't
the
you have
pegs
colored
are...
it, maybe? No?
Well,
You
I was
can or you
afraid
can't.
nobody would be able to see that it was pegged, and people are so impressed. They say, "Oh my goodness, it's pegged," and I don't tell them it's 6 months old. But anyway, I like the look of it, so that's one thing you can do.
I like the look of it, too.
All right, but that's one example, converting an old piece of furniture into a bookcase. But now there's another problem. As I said, you're always wondering how you're going to get more storage space, either out of a closet or out of the basement. Now, here's a suggestion I have for you. You can make a simple thing like this that will fit right into a closet. And rather than tell you what it is, I'm going to drive a couple of nails in it here and finish it up before we even go any farther. I think, though, I better do it this way.
Looks like a bench.
Well, it is sort of a bench. It's you could make something like this out of the cheapest pine boards you can buy at a lumber yard, or also out of plywood or whatever other material you want to use. Pressed board, hard board, be what you may. But it's so simple to put together.
Are you going to paint whatever it is?
I'm not going to paint it. Because,
Neither am I.
the idea of this is that you're going to hide it.
Oh.
Drive a couple of nails in it, and since this is going to be the base part, you have this board across here for stiffening. I'll drive a nail in back here. Come on, tighten up.
There you go.
All right, don't worry, it's a little wobbly sideways, but you're not going to lean against it like the Tower of Pisa. What you want, you're going to put weight on top of it so you have strength for compression, like concrete. You can put maybe 100, 150 pounds on this thing, and it's going to be able to support it. So, you can take a thing like this. Now, several things you can do with it. Most closets are about 3 feet wide. The first thing you can do is go inside and measure the closet that you want to convert to shelves as opposed to hangers. Measure the width of the closet. Measure the depth of the closet. As you can see, this is a 1 by 12-inch board. Now, you can make a series of things like this. When you hold them up on end, you can slip them right in through the closet door and then set them up against the wall. Let me show you. Take it right back here. Whoops, that's right where I'm going, dear.
Okay.
All right, put the first one down like that in the closet. That gives you room to put shoes and whatever else underneath it. Then, take the next one, and you don't even have to be that fancy with the next one. Stack it up on top. Take another one. Put it up like that. And presto, you can convert the entire closet into a linen closet, into a storage closet, into a place to put Christmas presents or Christmas decorations or whatever else. Now you say, well, I don't have a closet I can do that with. I need all my closets. All right, you can do something else with the same idea. And that is, if you have a basement in your home or a garage and you simply need shelves out there, but you don't want to make a permanent installation, you can convert this to a self-supporting storage area, bookcase, or whatever else it might be. You could even use it as a room divider, in fact. But the way you do that, I bought some strips from the lumber yard. Now, these strips are about 1.5 inches wide and they're about 1/4 inch thick. And, darling, would you hand me the hammer, please?
All right.
I used some very small nails, some little brads. And brads, darling, is not a nickname.
I know.
Brads apply to a very
size
small
of
nail. In this case, they're 3/4 inch long. Now, in order to make this thing self-supporting, you can take a strip
Don't swallow any breads, please.
and put it right along the face of your shelves. I'm not even going to bother cutting it off. I think it's obvious you should cut it off.
Even I would have figured that out.
Put a couple of nails in each leg as you come down. Now, make sure they're lined up. Nail right into the next section. And so forth, right on down. Now, if you put a strip like this on this side, down this side, and also a strip down the back side, you have a bookcase put together. Now, you could even make a simple miter box and miter your corners here and give yourself a picture frame type mold, and also run the strip across the top. But when you put this strip on, this makes a very solid bookcase thing. You can even put an additional brace on it. Or you can use it, you know, I think in the basement or garage, this would be a great thing for that. You know how your mother stored all that stuff of hers in the basement?
Yes, and you know, another thing, too, if you can get good buys when you buy things by the case. And so for canned goods and foods and everything that you'd like in a cool place, you can use this.
I wish you'd do that. You go to the store 3 times a day.
Oh.
Now, the other nice thing, this entire bookcase is of all of the same kind of wood. So you can stain it.
Oh, in a garage, though, or in a basement, you probably just want to paint it. Or you can leave it like it is, Wally. I mean, it's not going to deteriorate, or wood doesn't decay, does it?
Well, not if you don't, you know. It dry rots.
Oh,
it doesn't really deteriorate.
Yeah. So if you paint it, it's sort of a preservative,
yeah,
right?
Let me put one more in it.
Okay.
Now, can you very carefully slide it out? Grab the bottom only. And slide it right out in front of the other bookcase over there by you. That's it, right here. Just put it down right there. Now see how you can dress it up with a piece of molding? And it'll stand all by itself. Now you can make a little fancier bookcase. It'll go in the living room of your home or in the den or in the library, if you happen to have one. And it isn't that complicated to make. Or you can make something that you just want to use someplace to put a lot of paperback or hardcover books on. Now, the easiest way for most people to do it, and again, you know, I'm not a big advocate of going out and buying a lot of tools unless you have a lot of money. But if you want to try to get by on what you have, most of these...
Yes, he really is. I just won't let him.
That's right. If you have a wife like mine who won't let you buy a lot of tools, you have to make do. Okay, one way to make do is design something where the material is available already. In other words, you can buy the width material you want, you can buy the length that you want, but the important thing is draw out a sketch of what it is you want. Go to the lumber yard, give them the measurements of the thing, and they'll pre-cut the lumber for you, like this. Now, this is a 1x8 board, right, Natalie?
Well,
look,
if you say
it's 1 inch thick. See, this is 1 inch, 8 inches across
You know,
here.
I've always wanted to ask what 1x8s and 2x4s are, and I was so embarrassed because I thought it sounded like such a stupid question.
Well,
It
that's
is,
what
I
happens
know.
when you go to college. See, you don't learn things like that. 1 inch here, 8 inches here. So
Yeah.
this is going to be one side of a bookcase. Now, what we have done, we've taken pieces of quarter round, which you also buy at a lumber yard, and you buy them in 8-foot lengths, and you take a little saw and you just cut them down in lengths, which are equal to the width of the board. Drive about 3 nails in each one. You can measure down, space the shelves. You can put all the shelves exactly the same distance apart if you want, or you can make some wider and some narrower, however you want to do it. But anyway, do 2 boards like this because these are the end pieces for your bookcase. Then, let's put the thing together right quick. First thing I want to do, you have to have an assistant on the other end, and Natalie's going to do that very well.
Because nobody else is available.
All right, let's put this piece up. Now this piece, oh boy!
I hope not.
I want you on this end, darling.
Oh, this end.
That one down there.
Okay.
And you hold it steady.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, you ought to turn it over the other way, but I like to do things.
Do you have
the
any
hard way.
feeling in the foot, Wally?
Not much.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Put it together. Now it helps in something like this to have 4 hands.
Have you thought about using your feet?
Now, hold it together
Yeah.
about like that. Okay, that's one.
Shouldn't I be down at that end?
Well, hold the thing.
Well,
will you?
I'm trying.
Okay. Boy, I tell you, the kind of help you hire these days. All right. 2 nails in each end will do it. You put this piece on. This is the bottom kickboard, and this is going to make the thing sturdy enough that it'll stay together. You need one across the bottom. You also need one at the top. Now, honey, why don't you go down on that end
All right.
and hold the other side, and I'll take care of this one. You can also just turn this thing upside down and nail together a lot easier. Well,
What's the matter?
oh, it's a little awkward and I'm rushing. I once told you there was no such thing as a 30-minute job, remember?
Oh, I believe that.
And when you get to 16 minutes to do a job, it really gets ridiculous. Okay.
Okay?
They didn't come out the back side. I thought they would. Now, you need the same type of thing across the top. Slide it down, dear. Just push it right on down.
Okay.
Hang on to that end,
Okay.
and I'll hang on to this end.
All right.
Put just right inside the little thing at the top.
All right, I'm holding
Got it
on.
No, you need a couple nails here. I'm going to put one there and just one on the other end so I can put this thing together for you.
It'll just stay.
Very quick.
Okay.
Now see, you have to make sure the boards meet there well. Raise it up a bit.
There you go.
Isn't that great? Now, dear,
Yeah.
just shove it up to me.
Okay.
Right on up.
Oh, I
What's
thought it
the
was gonna
matter?
fall.
Now, isn't that great?
You really are going to put
Look at
this in
that.
the living room, huh?
That's right. Now, watch what happens.
We'll see about
Watch what happens, though. There's shelf number 1.
that. Yeah.
Here's shelf number 2. Now, see, all of these are pre-cut at the lumber yard. You make sure, if you make the shelf only 4 feet wide,
Wally, when you buy
then you
the
can, wait a
lumber-
minute, now you make the shelf 4 feet wide, you buy an 8-foot board, have it cut in half, and you have 2 shelves. Now, excuse me, dear, what were you going to say?
I can't remember. Oh, I was going to ask you, if you buy the lumber there, will they let you, will they cut it for you free?
Yeah, usually. Now, this one goes down in the bottom. And I left one out to give you an idea. You can have an even larger storage space at the bottom because quite often you have bigger books to put down at the bottom. And you want to stack up magazines. You want to put something else down there. Now, as you see, the bookcase is still a little rocky. Wouldn't you say?
Oh, yes, Wally, I certainly would.
Okay. Now, let's turn it around. Or at least at the side like this. Because the table that I've been working on is a very essential part to any bookcase that you're going to build. Because this is the backing for the bookcase.
Oh,
And this, again, is the reason why you were very careful in making the bookcase a certain size. Okay, put it right up there, Natalie.
okay. What is this, Wally? Is this just plywood, a piece of plywood?
That's just a piece of plywood. And again, if you make the bookcase the right dimension, which is about, in this case, 4 by 5, put the plywood up, and if you start putting a few nails in the back of it, whoops, we dropped it. Now, honey, you have to turn loose completely down there because, number one, the plywood is square, and you don't have to worry about using a framing square. So this thing is wobbly enough that you can slide it around so you get the corner squared with the plywood. Put a nail in that corner, then come down to this corner and do the same thing here.
Bang.
Now you ought to put nails about, every 6 inches or so. Then, after you get the thing all nailed up, turn it around. Whoops,
What's the matter?
grabbed the wrong thing.
There you go.
Slide it up against the wall, and you're going to have a rigid bookcase from a horizontal standpoint, and you can paint the plywood or the backboard back here with a black flat paint, which I think is best. Paint this part black, then you can stack your books up in it. You can do anything you want to with the pine. You can stain it, or I think in this case I'd prefer
Wouldn't you
painting
put a
it.
little trim on here? No?
Well, you can get a little bit of the molding that we've shown you on other programs and trim right down the front and trim right across the shelves.